Ladies and gentlemen, grab your coffee and get comfortable because it's time for Coffee with Khosi. Welcome to Coffee with Khosi. I'm your host, Khosi Twala, and today we have an epic show lined up for you. Our today's guest is none other than Yaya Mavundla, who is an activist, that is a multi-award-winning LGBTQ activist. Please do give her a round of applause. How are you doing, darling?
Hey, gorgeous.
Oh, you look absolutely stunning.
Hello.
It's giving
Hello.
you and you me.
Yes, of course.
Blonde wig.
Blonde wig.
Red dress. I love
Yes.
how you look, Yaya. Please tell me, who is Yaya?
I always struggle to introduce myself.
Yeah.
But I grew up in the deep rural areas of KwaZulu-Natal, in Kranskop, in Tunjambili. I studied there. And then I moved. I left home at 16.
Wow.
I went to Durban. It's so funny. Like, my move to Durban was never really like a plan. And I think that has really followed me all the time because everything that I always do, I never really planned.
Yeah.
So I left home. I literally had 6 years on me.
Wow.
And I got to Durban. It was a big struggle. I won't even lie. But I think because, I was raised by really, really great two grandmothers that were, that instilled a lot of bravery in me. So I think I became so brave to really follow my heart and do all the things that I wanted to do. And I think today we are here. We have seen the other side of the world that we've never really thought would see. Because growing up, I didn't know all this exists.
This is even possible. But one might wonder, what on earth would possess a 16-year-old to just up and leave and go to the big city with 60 rent even?
Truth is, I've spoken about this before to say I wasn't really the favorite child at home. And for me, it was so difficult to just do everything because it was just not easy anymore. And I remember the previous year, my father and the stepmom had told me that I'd have to take care of myself going to school the following year. So, there was no need for me to stay there which means I had to hustle and find ways of how I'm going to pay school fees, buy uniform and everything else.
Why was that? Why were the people that you had looked at as your protectors and providers were then okay, Yaya, you're on your own?
My father was never really a present dad. I'd see him once or twice a year, So I wouldn't necessarily say he knew what is raising a child is like. But also I say it was so unfortunate that the stepmom who had kids felt it was okay to tell a child, to take care of themselves at 16. And especially, if you're in the rural areas, you don't know anything. And it was just unfortunate because my other previous stepmom, who really, really loved me, Ingani had passed away. So then I met this one. So, but I think also I'm always saying it was a blessing for me in disguise because I don't think I would have been able to do any of the things that I've done in my life if Gatotos.
Yeah.
So literally growing up for me was difficult.
So when then they were telling you, okay, now you gotta be on your own. Was it something that was normal in the family, or was it because did it have anything to do with your sexuality?
No. So, everybody at home, it was really literally, I was the first person to be, I don't want to say outcast like that, but being told that you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know what were the reasons, but my grandmother, of course, was against that. But there wasn't really much that she was going to do. Beholding Peshin, the one that's really, really, really liked me, and the one that's Wankulisa also. The other one, we liked each other, but we weren't really best of friends like that.
I hear you.
You know, I wasn't really her first choice.
I hear you.
But she still loved me. So I don't blame them, but I don't get where they're coming from because I'm just like, I was a child. You know,
I hear you.
I was a child. I needed them to really
Absolutely
support me until at least matric, you know, and see where I go after.
That's beautiful. But now tell me, you're part of the LGBTQ community, and not just part of it, but you play a very essential role by being an activist. Just tell me a story about your journey. How did you become, you know, where you get to the point where you realize, listen, I know who I am and I want to stand up, not just for me, but for other people who maybe share the same journey as me. What led up to all of that?
Tell you what, first thing first, I think, like, to answer even the previous question, at home, I wouldn't necessarily say they treated me in any way because of my gender identity or sexuality. Because it was, I didn't know anything at the time. It's really, literally the kids at school that would say, hey, Wena, you know, you are like this, you're like that. And even today, we've never at home had issues about my gender identity.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think because I was a child that was never really fearful of anything, I was always fearless. So I literally just lived my truth without conforming on what society wants me to be. And it was just so easy for me to just be. Even finding out that I was a trans girl, it just happened because, I mean, the person that I lived there with said to me, there is no way that you're a gay boy. It's not possible.
So then this is quite something, right? Because the way you said, the way I discovered, I discovered my taste in music. You know what I mean? I discovered my favorite country, but discovering your sexuality and in a very specific way. Oh my goodness, that might sound very confusing to somebody else. You know, so do you want to maybe elaborate between the two? Someone might not even understand the difference.
So, I mean, for all I knew when I was growing, like after I've left home, of course, when I got to Joburg, this was like, I think I was around 20-something, 23, 24, I think, assuming. I don't really remember. All I knew of was literally a gay man, a lesbian woman, and what? That's all I knew.
That's all. You just knew the L and the G.
And a bisexual person. And I've never really had, because I've never been exposed to a trans person before. Even though, I mean, I knew of e-commerce, but I didn't know that she was trans, you know. So then when Moholi then taught me of like trans people, Zanele Moholi. So we're friends. We're friends and we work together.
Telling you can't be, that's
no. So we live together, but we also worked together. We're friends also, yes. So, I mean, then I tried to do a little research of what is a trans person.
Wow.
You know?
How old were you during
I don't know, about 23, 24, somewhere there.
So up until you were like 24,
I'm thinking,
you identified as gay.
It's a gay person.
Yeah.
And I think I was even more comfortable when I discovered actually that I was trans. Because then I think I related to myself more.
Oh my goodness.
Because every time I think I would be in a space with gay men, there was something that was just not okay.
Yeah.
You know, even with them, they would not treat me
like part of them.
Yeah. You know, I remember there was a house that we lived in Randburg.
Yeah.
It was such a mess. And I was never really treated like one of them by the other gay men that would come into the house. You know, there was always that thing of, I don't want to say you're not one of us.
Yeah.
But they always found ways to just like make me feel unwelcome. Thanks God, the person that, you know, we lived at, Letitia, it's my friend's sister. was so welcoming to me. He was so understanding of my gender identity, was never judgmental. And so when I eventually just like lived my truth and openly out, a lot of things then started changing.
Wow.
I literally then saw that I'm actually a girl, you know.
Wow.
And yeah.
You know, this is such a beautiful moment because it's not just about you discovering your sexuality and who you truly are, but when you think about just in general, how many people are just walking through life just blindly, not even just about sexuality.
Yeah, no, about many other things, yeah.
Feel like I don't belong in this job, but they don't really know what's missing.
You don't know better.
You know what I mean?
It's like I always say to people, I grew up where there was no television. We didn't have TV at home. I started watching TV when I was like 15. The only medium of news that I was able to consume was radio, and it was Khosi. So it was really limited on what you can like listen to. And newspapers, I didn't even know newspapers
Existed, wow.
Not to mention magazines.
Wow.
So there was really, really limited information about anything generally. So a lot of things that you would not know, even a kind of job that you want to like, you know, pursue after you finish studying, it's limited. It's either you're going to be a doctor, a teacher, a nurse. Lawyer is even far-fetched because you would think a police officer instead, you know. So there weren't really much of the things that, you know, were popular that I knew of. Same thing with like gender identity in such spaces or sexuality. It really, really is limited because of the information.
Okay, I love what you're saying. So for anyone who's watching and they feel something is missing in my life, doesn't have to be about your sexuality or whatever it is, but they just feel some space. You know, some could even feel to a point where perhaps leaving is not worth it because they just can't put their finger on what is it that's missing.
That's missing.
But you went through a point where you had an aha moment and you were like, this is it. But do you want to then share what it took for you to get there?
I think for me, it was always self-acceptance and not living in fear. You know, when you choose yourself, I feel like you're always ready for what the world throws at you. And it's funny that, you know, a friend of mine was saying, it's funny that you're able to apply that in life generally, but you aren't able to apply it in your like relationships because, you know, when you're supposed to leave, but you can't leave.
What do you mean by that?
For instance, like I was once in a like very, very abusive relationship, like very, not even just once, like 3 times.
Wow.
And I don't know why I didn't leave. For somebody who's so brave, I was supposed to just say, this is not working out. I need to get out of here.
I don't even see you.
But I stayed, you know.
Nonsense.
I stayed and I stayed again and I stayed again, like 3 times. And these are 3 different people. So, but with any other decisions, I'm so, it's easy for me to just like say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm choosing. And I'm not going to let anything hinder, you know, where I'm going. Even like when I mentioned that I just left at home, you know, it wasn't anything planned. When I moved from Joburg to come here, from Durban to come to Joburg, I didn't plan it. I was coming from Pride and I decided to stay in Joburg, you know. Every time I make a move, it's never really planned. When I moved to Cape Town, I literally went there. I was going for a holiday in December. I didn't return. You know, so it's me really saying when I want to do something now, I'm going to do it. Okay. You know, nothing is really going to stop me.
So then, what do you think is the cause of you having this? I mean, I'm sure you've had some time to just sit back and look at these relationships. And then look at yourself. Have you been able to know exactly why you're not able to just leave?
The first person I I didn't want to let go of that person.
So you loved them more than you loved yourself?
I think I did. And it was so bad for me to do that. And I also would say I was also manipulated a lot because he always made me believe that he was going to change. But also when somebody makes you believe that they are treating you like this because of you, you end up believing those things.
Wow.
But then it's ended up happening again and it's happened again. But I think when I decided to put a stop on it, it's never happened again.
Wait a minute. You put a stop once.
On the last one.
Okay. But it took you two
more other people.
So how did we then get into another abusive relationship after we were done with the last one? We had enough courage to finally step out. So
I think the first one, how it was so... what's helped me was that because families got involved, his family got involved. So it just became a lot, and then it was so abusive. Like physically abusive. And I was just like, And the family got involved, so they were attacking me. They believed that I was the one who was the problem.
And that's where you drew the line.
So I'm like, nah, I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
and he also couldn't control his family. I think I would have been hurt,
Yeah.
And the second one, I would be lying if I were to say to you, I don't know why I stayed.
You don't know why you stayed?
I don't know why I stayed, because
till this day,
till today, I think to myself, that guy was really not worth it.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he wasn't worth it.
And then the third one?
The third one, it was a tricky one, because now, at the time, I was like very famous. And I wasn't anyone.
Yeah.
And so our relationship was really between myself and him.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew.
Yeah.
Until one of my friends, then I had to disclose to one of my friends. I'm like, dude, listen, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And he was so abusive, but he would come back and say to me, we need to go to therapy together. But I'm thinking to myself, dude, how are we going to go to therapy? Because if we go together, it's going to come out. Do you understand? We can't just...
Okay, so you didn't want the relationship to be public at all?
I think for his safety, because you know how transphobic and homophobic people are. It was just going to be a mess. And he used that for his advantage to say, even if you speak to say I'm abusing you, nobody's going to believe you.
What?
Yes. So he would he'd literally tell me that nobody's going to believe you. Please.
How do you stay?
So I stayed. I also really liked him, but he also... when somebody really always assures you that, you can do this.
Yeah.
And he wanted to support me with my hormone journey, with my surgery. He really wanted to support me and pay for it.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I knew that I was going to die and no one is going to know that I died because he was that abusive. So this one time, he's sleeping.
Yeah.
I took a picture of us.
Assurance.
I sent it to my friend. Like he's in my bed. I know it's a bad thing to do, but also it was my way of saving myself. So when he started with this shitty behavior, I told him, like, you're not doing that. He's like, oh, wow, so now you can talk back. I said, yes, I can. And, drama happened. He slept. I said, I'm going to speak. And when I said, and mind you, it's with my friend. So I don't know what you're going to do about it. And this comes to an end. I cannot continue with the relationship. So that's how the relationship ended. And he tried to oh my gosh, Yaya, I've changed. I'm like, nope.
And how many years ago was that? When you had your last abusive relationship and you're like...
That was probably over 7 years.
Oh, that's a long time
ago. That's a long time ago. I've forgiven him. All of them, I've forgiven them. I've let it go. I'm like, you know what? This is what it is. It's happened. I remember this one time, I was speaking about this and he sent me a text saying, I'm so proud of you for handling it like how you did. Because I think he's always been scared that maybe I'll mention his name. But I know I'm not like that, and I'm never going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing like
Not that I'm protecting him also.
know, it's just
I'm also
not
protecting
the
myself
person.
because I kid you not, even now, I can still get a lot of transphobia from his fans or even just society.
Oh, he's also popular.
I mean, he like...
Okay, within the spotlights.
I said he was very famous at the time.
You said I was very famous.
Oh, no. I'm saying I was not known.
Okay.
So he was.
That's why he was like, no one is going to believe you.
No one is going to believe me.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. But I want us to move to how you have, you know, achieved so many things in your career and, you know, how many doors you've opened for other people. What does that take for you to do so much? Just, you know, you're a multi-award winning activist. What does it take for one to get to this point?
You know, I always say my grandmothers taught me respect, being humble, love, you know, and acceptance. And those things have really, really opened so much for me because I love genuinely, I respect people, I am very honest. They also taught me honesty. You know, so that's why I get so worried when I meet people that lie, that are dishonest, that are backstabbers. It's kind of confused me to say, okay, can't you wanna pum up, you know, because I grew up in an environment where really I was taught to say there's nothing better like respecting the next person, like loving the next person. So for me, you know, there are people that I don't want to support, but I support them anyway, because I think it's just in me.
What do you mean you don't want to support?
Because of the things that they do, you know, like you find out that somebody that you are really are for is not for you. And how do you then stop loving them? How do you stop supporting them if your heart says do it? Or if there's an opportunity available for them? I don't think I'm a kind of person that just because we're not close, then if there's something that fits your description, I must hide it from you. I'm not that kind of person. I will still, you know, even, I mean, there are a lot of people where nobody knew of me or nobody cared about me, who used to treat me so bad, who are in the industry, who used to treat me really, really, really bad. And some of my friends always send me messages saying, I cannot believe that you are cool with this person who used to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 to you, you know? But I think I always say, for me, I speak to the universe a lot. The universe knows my heart and everybody's heart. If they were doing whatever that they were doing to intentionally harm me, they will pay for it. Unfortunately, you know, there's karma. Karma will come for them. And for me, I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Absolutely,
you know, it's up to them to really speak to their God and apologize if they see that they were wrong. But sometimes people do things to you not knowing that they're doing something bad.
Yeah.
It unfortunately does happen. Yes, a lot of people would think, she's being delusional. But I mean, there are people that really do you wrong, not knowing that they are doing you wrong.
Oh, that's true. And you know, some people may not know this, but you've been in the industry for a while. You know?
I wonder what is a while, but
I mean, it's a long time.
Yeah.
You know, you were behind the scene. You know, you worked even though right now you just, you know, identify mostly as an activist, but you're also so much more. You're a content creator, you're a publicist and all of that. You've been in the industry for so long. And I think you've seen maybe the progress in terms of how the LGBTQ community is being accommodated. I want you to tell me if there has been any significant progress.
I mean, in society generally, there is little, but unfortunately, it's for those people that can buy, you know, access, that can buy the privilege of being in certain spaces, that can buy the privilege of speaking to certain people. But for anyone who doesn't have the money to get themselves in those spaces, there isn't really much that has changed. Because I think sometimes you even buy acceptance in society, you know. That's why you find that when you are famous, you are more likely to be accepted by society than if you are not. With in the industry, I always say I hate how South African television want to make, especially with gay men, that they have to be mediocre and caricature for them to make it.
What do you mean mediocre? What do you
Babes, you have to be dramatic. You have to have pink hair. Not that there's anything wrong with pink hair, but you just have to be entertainment. And for me, I think that is unfair. You cannot be the character and play the character. Play the character, and then outside of that, can people see you for who you are? So if you're not loud, pink, flamboyant, then you're not really accepted in the industry like that. But also because there isn't really much LGBTI people in the industry, I remember when I did Becoming, chances are there were a lot of people that I probably worked with that thought I was being difficult. I don't know.
Really?
I'm saying I don't know because I, of course, wanted to be treated fairly and being seen as who am I, not as what society wants to see or what has been projected in society as this is how trans people are.
Okay. So do you want to maybe give us an example? It doesn't have to be a very specific or personal experience, but just in general.
I mean, you can walk into a space and complain about your makeup and hair and people will understand. If I do that, I'm going to be seen as somebody who's being difficult and I'm always complaining, I don't have the privilege as a trans person to say what I want, and which is why even with campaigns that I would do, I'm always okay if I don't get it. Because I'm just I'm not going to allow to be paid less and treated so bad. And when I then speak about it, then it's she's difficult. And I think that also happens like that because really they didn't want you there. Right. A lot of brands these days, they would have the LGBTIQ plus people, especially with trans women, because they want to do it for inclusivity. They want to tick a box, not because they really want you, not because they really like you. I mean, I've worked with agencies where I know that people in the agency don't like me. They are just doing it because they have to do it. And it frustrates me sometimes when I find out later that actually these people don't like me because I'd be I shouldn't have taken that gig anyway. Why am I working with people that don't want me? It happens a lot, not with just myself alone, a lot of other trans people. They've shared their experiences of how they are treated in these spaces. So which is why with me, I always create my own opportunities because I don't want to beg people. I feel like I've worked so hard to be seen. So let me celebrate myself. Let me do it the way I want to do it. Right. Let me afford myself.
I mean, because I know you personally, I know the type of person you are. You're not a person who holds a grudge or you want to hang on too much to a negative thing.
I don't want that.
You know what I mean? So when I ask you, do you remember or what was your most horrifying experience that was put your way because of you're a trans woman? Do you remember just the worst thing? Yeah.
Quite a lot. One on top of my mind, I was in Oslo, was supposed to go to New York. I was connecting to Oslo from a different country. And when I got there, they had an issue with my passport. So my passport is female, but my visa had my old passport. So when I wrote to the embassy, the US embassy, they said I can carry both passports, And when I get to the airline, it was made a big thing. Now I'm committing fraud. But I'm I've got every document, the document from the embassy, the document from the Home Affairs that I've transitioned. It's like everything is legit. So why now is everybody called in to come see that there's a trans woman here? Because that was really what's happening. I was going into a bathroom this one time with a late friend of mine, may her soul rest in peace, in Durban. We literally got stopped by the cleaner from going to the bathroom. She said, we cannot use ladies' bathroom. And she's making noise. So now everybody must come.
Making a whole
scene. And you know, and for me, I always hate that most of these things sometimes happen when I've got somebody who's a senior that I can contact and report this. And then now I'm seen as a bad guy who now is reporting people to get into trouble. But I'm like, dude, you are the one starting with me. If you didn't do this, I was never going to be able to, you know, contact anybody. Sure, like there are a lot of them that are like, that I'm thinking about them.
I can imagine.
But I always say, I try when I'm in those spaces to act as calm as possible because I'm not a dramatic person. I always say, I don't want to cause a scene.
Just a little bit.
I don't want to cause a scene, you know. So I try and resolve something like, you know.
Do you feel that perhaps as a country or even as a continent, because we know in some African countries, it's basically illegal to be trans or gay and all of that. But in South Africa, we tend to be more welcoming.
I was about to say, which I'm not in an illegal in a country where being trans is illegal.
Yes, so, but I'm just saying, in terms of a continent or maybe even as a country, do you feel that there's some misconception or there's a lack of education when it comes to trans women?
No. I want to be silent, guys.
Is that how you feel?
That's the honest truth. That's the honest truth.
Can I tell you something though?
Yeah.
Like, I'm friends with a lot of people, and sometimes I wouldn't even know something until last minute. Like,
sure.
I discovered so many things about you when you were saying on stage, and I was like, what, really? you know?
Yeah, no.
So some of the things, it could really just be lack of knowledge.
No, of course. But
and I remember this one time, right? I said something, and I was with gay men, and we're just sitting and, you know, having fun. And as I asked a question and they laughed, probably because we were drinking and having fun. We're in the house just relaxing. But when I got home, because I had another gay friend in my house, I told them the question I had asked. And because the way they laughed, I was like, am I reaching here? And then my friend was like, yeah, that was a bit, you know.
But you see now.
You shouldn't have.
But you see now, I'll tell you this, Khosi, you can tell if somebody is being malicious or if somebody is really genuinely being offish. I kid you not, I was at an event this one time. This lady friend of mine is with her boyfriend. He came and reached out for my boobs and put his hand. Tell me if this person is really not being disgusting and malicious, because I don't think he would have done that to a straight woman.
But what was the reasoning behind that?
So already in his mind, he wants to see what's like, you know, how. And I'm thinking to myself, but you don't do that to all other women. What are you doing with me? You know? So, and people will justify to say no, but he wanted to know. But why?
No.
I've never, if I see you wearing something that's, you know, I've never said, let me zip down your pants and see what the size. I've never. Because if I were to do that also, then I'm going to be labeled as a sexual offender, you know. But he can't. Society is going to protect him and say, no, he didn't know. It was an honest mistake. He was joking. When straight people do these things to trans women, mostly, society is always going to protect them and say, no, he probably didn't know. He was joking. There's always going to be an excuse, you know, which is why there's a lot of transphobia and a lot of homophobia, because people know that they're always going to get away with it. They know.
What do you think, like, is the biggest factor behind homophobia? What makes people so scared? Because, I mean, homophobia is basically that. What makes them
I
feel
don't even think they
uncomfortable?
are scared or they are uncomfortable. It's just them exercising the power that society has given them. They know that if I'm treating her bad, no one is going to do anything to me. It's like if you think you're going to cancel somebody who's homophobic or transphobic, you are empowering that person. Because I'm telling you, so many other people that are homophobes are going to support that person.
Wow. Okay. I want to ask you another question lastly. What does it make a fully transitioned woman, or being a trans woman? What does that mean for someone who doesn't know? Does it mean just wearing a dress?
No.
You know?
So being a trans doesn't have anything to do with the clothes that you wear. You wear whatever that you want. It's your gender identity, who you identify as. You know, if you identify as a woman, and you don't even have to take hormones, because there are trans women that really don't want to transition medically.
Okay.
They don't want to. There are those that would want to transition medically but don't want to go through surgery.
Okay.
Then there are those that want to go through surgery.
Okay. So when we say medical, what do we mean by that?
You have to take hormones, of course.
Hormones. What do hormones do?
So hormones, of course, I mean, they help you with the shape of your body, your voice. I mean, also there's a lot that it does with your body, and also, I mean, what is the word? Gosh, the word is really like silbalekile.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really develops a lot.
Yes,
you know,
in terms of
also
your physical.
Yes. Not just the physical appearance. I mean, like so much more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you then do surgical.
So you can't, of course, do surgery without having gone through the medical process, because you need the hormones in your body.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
so how long would it take for someone to transition? Like,
there are people that have taken hormones for like 6 months and then they go through surgery.
Wow.
Depending on the finances. If you have the financial means, you know, a capacity to do it, you can. I mean, there are people that have done it in 6 months.
Is it an expensive procedure?
Yeah, I mean, the procedure is like quite expensive. Like,
How expensive?
A lot. It's a lot. I mean, if you look at a society that we live in and how many other trans people that are employed or own businesses that can afford them, then it really is expensive. Because I don't think, if let's say you want to go do it abroad, I don't think there is anyone that's have like over 100K just sitting around to just like go, you know, transition.
It's true. Now, lastly, what would you like to say to someone who's maybe confused whether they want to be a trans woman that wants to go all the way, or just a trans woman where you don't have to go through any surgery or hormonal transition?
I think really choose yourself. Don't do it based on what society says to you. Because I think a lot of people get a lot of pressure from society to say, you know, you don't look like that person. There is a term that people call, that uses, they say, so and so passes as a woman.
Yeah.
And I always say, I'm so glad that has never really been something that pushes how I want to be in life. Because a lot of people then get under that pressure to say, I need to look like that so that society accepts me.
Right.
I kid you not. I think the moment you accept how you look and how you are, people will get there. You know, they'll love you for who you are, because you don't really have to do things because someone else is doing it, your friend is doing it, because you want to look like a certain person, or because you want society to say she actually looks like a certain kind of gender. That's what society would say. Say, this is how a woman looks like, this is how a man looks like.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. You've done quite a lot for yourself. You've been such an amazing woman, honestly.
Thank you.
You've gotten awards. You did a TED Talk.
Welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you.
You've worked with so many big brands in the country or in the continent as well.
Thank you.
You've been part of a progressive TV show. So you've done really well for yourself, for someone who just comes from, you know, a village, basically.
A village, yeah.
You really build yourself up. And I hope someone who's, a person who's out there, maybe they feel because they're from the village or the rural area, they're not deserving of a wonderful life that you have created yourself. I hope they look at that and they see that it is very much possible. And also, lastly, I just want you, this is the last one for real now.
Yeah.
I want you to just maybe tell me, how would you want Yaya Mavundla to be remembered?
I think I would like to be remembered for honesty, for living my life, but also to really having inspired even those that don't see me. But they there are people that look at you and say, I can do better than that person. Really, for me, my life is an inspiration to those people. Because if they look at me and think, I can do better than Yaya, which means they also can do it. They need to start then waking up and really doing what they want to do. So for me, really is about to say, you as the next person, follow your hearts, follow your dreams, and let's do it.
Wow. Ooh, that was beautiful. I want to say thank you so much, Yaya, for coming. You are one of the most beautiful inside out people I've ever met.
Thank you.
You've been there for me when I needed you the most. Like, you're one of those people that I could call about anything in this world.
And I appreciate that. I always say, for me, it warms my heart when there are people that can trust you and also that you trust.
Yeah.
Because trust is not built easily. I think I trust easily, which I need to stop.
You know what? I think me and you, we are so similar. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, we're so different but so similar. It's so funny. But I understand we're both born on August.
August, yes.
And our birth
literally same week.
It's like you exchange numbers.
Yeah,
it's like yours is like 0,
First
1.
And then
mine
1,
is
0.
1, 0.
Yeah.
So I understand where this energy is coming from. It's one of the relationship I really cherish, and I will give my foot to sustain for the rest of my life because, oh my gosh, I'm
grateful for you.
I honestly couldn't trade it. I don't think a lot of people have people that I could call in any situation. Like, literally, there is a situation where I'll be like, oh, I don't think I could tell this. Whether it's relationships, finances, work.
No, thank you.
Thank you. So I appreciate you so much, and I wish you all the best. I hope God blesses you with everything that is wonderful because you deserve it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a gift for you.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Amen.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
She always does this now.
Yeah, you're so dramatic. And someone said today, oh, I smell so good. And it's the perfume.
Oh my God. Well, they're about to.
Oh my God.
They're about to say much more.
Thank you so much.
I hope you love it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Yaya. What a wonderful woman. What a wonderful episode. That is it from us, Khoffee With Khosi. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, and drop a lovely comment for our Miss Yaya over here. With that being said, until next week, goodbye.